My name's Keegan Smith. I'm a rising senior, and I'm an environmental conservation and sustainability major. And I had the pleasure of spending my summer with Stonyfield in Londonderry, New Hampshire, who is the world's #1 brand in organic yogurt. And it was a great transition from working at the UNH Organic Dairy Research Farm in the spring semester of my sophomore year. It was a really cool opportunity to see how the milk is produced, all the way to the end step of producing that yogurt and getting it out onto store shelves. So back in 1983, there was a huge problem. Family farms were dying, large agribusinesses were the main source of where we were getting our food, and our food was becoming more processed and unhealthy than ever before. So that's where Samuel and Gary came in 1983, when they created the Rural Education Center in Wilton, New Hampshire. And much like all these other social enterprises that these interns are presenting today, this is how Stonyfield originally started, with the mission to inspire and educate a whole young generation of farmers to produce food organically and sustainably, and to also produce healthy food. But to keep this social enterprise afloat, Samuel and Gary started selling with the few cows that they had on the farm, just whole milk, plain yogurt. But it caught on like wildfire in the community, and they kept selling out day in and day out, and that's when they knew that they had something special. So they started selling yogurt full time, and this is Stonyfield. But they built this business based on 4 principles: healthy food, healthy people, healthy planet, and healthy business. These 4 principles came first, and the yogurt business came second. In over 30 years, they're still a top yogurt brand. And like I said before, they're the #1 organic yogurt brand in the entire world, based out of Londonderry, New Hampshire. So for a small state, that's a pretty cool fact. And it also set the precedent that sustainable business not only works, but it's entirely profitable. And today, they're still without the GMOs, the toxic, persistent pesticides that you don't have to worry about when you're eating this yogurt still. So in 2013, Stonyfield analyzed all the avoided impacts. So these numbers are probably a lot bigger now. But since then, we've converted over 200,000 acres of organic farmland, avoided over 200,000 pounds of pesticides and herbicides, over 460,000 drug treatments, and over 10 million pounds of nitrogen synthetic fertilizer. And at the Londonderry facility, they like to walk the talk too. They installed a 50-kilowatt solar PV system on top of the roof. They use biogas from the anaerobic digester out back to provide heat and power to the facility. They offset the carbons, recycle solid waste, and still give grants to family farmers to keep them afloat. So how did I contribute to this mission? Well, I joined the sustainability team to assess the cartons for Yo Kids Squeeze and Yo Kids Squeezers containers and cartons. And we were actually looking at eucalyptus as a material to have the cartons for our Yo Kids Squeeze and Squeezers. And for those of you who aren't tree nuts, pun intended, eucalyptus is actually native to Australia. And what's different is that eucalyptus can be readily harvested within like 6 to 7 years, whereas traditional pine trees take 30 to 50 years to be harvested. So it's a unique thing. I also contribute to the source map with our marketing team. And basically what our source map is an online interactive map that anybody who's curious can look and click on these icons to see where our fruit, our vegetables, and our milk supply is coming from. But more importantly, the stories behind the farms and the farmers that make Stonyfield's products possible. And another cool thing that I worked on was calling all of our suppliers to update our information, well, specifically for the fruit and vegetable supply. What was cool about this was I was calling to make sure that they were being environmentally, socially sustainable, and also still adhering to their strict, good agricultural practices and manufacturing practices. And this is actually a picture from a co-op down in Costa Rica in the province, I think it's a province of Talamanca. It's one of the more economically poor regions, so it makes me happy to know that Stonyfield is still actively supplying from the right suppliers, making sure that these people who are still farming sustainably and socially sustainably are getting the right wages for the great products that they provide for us. And it also keeps people like the Silvera family out in California still in business. And it supports and it gives incentives for these family farmers to give us healthy food, and to make sure that this American heritage and dream is still alive today. So I want to say thank you to Thana and Fiona for being excellent advisors and being very supportive. I also want to thank my supervisors at Stonyfield, Lisa Drake and Derek Singer, for giving me these real-world opportunities that will definitely help me in the real world. And I also want to thank my presentation coach, Megan, who is also an alum of this program. Without her, this would not be as great of a presentation, as mediocre as it already is. So I'm also excited to announce that I got my internship extended till the 19th to continue to work on this, and I also got a part-time job working in community outreach.